Welcome to my presentation on lexicon, presented by me, Tom Callis. What is lexicon? Well, think of internalized mental dictionaries. They're not organized as like a standard dictionary, though, such as alphabetically. Our internalized mental dictionaries are much more structured. And when we think of lexicon, we think of links between phonological forms and meanings in our mind. What is in a lexicon? Lexicon consists of words, root morphemes, bound morphemes such as inflectional, derivational morphemes, and clitics, irregular inflectional forms of words such as be, are, is. Also, morphologically complex words such as blackboard and strawberry. Expressions and idioms are considered a part of our lexicon. Examples of expressions and idioms are to kill time or to know something by heart. All morphemes are either lexical or grammatical. The evolving lexicon. Due to social and technological changes, new words are created for new concepts, and old words are forgotten and gone out of use. Grammatical and lexical morphemes change over time. Language is constantly changing. Lexical morphemes, however, tend to be more stable than grammatical morphemes. Parts of speech and word class. We often think of parts of speech and word class when we talk about lexicon. Nouns, adjectives, pronouns, verbs, auxiliaries, verbs that express grammatical information rather than lexical information, adverbs, prepositions, and postpositions, such as the possessive clitic apostrophe s in English, conjunctions, and interjections. The majority of languages distinguish between nouns and verbs. However, this is not universal, actually. The Silesian languages, Pacific Northwest of North America, this language is spoken. Here's an example of how the distinction between nouns and verbs is not universal. The sun is strong is said in the same way as the day is sunny in that language, in these languages. So sun and sunny are actually the same word. These languages are also known for their agglutinativity of consonant clusters. You can have up to 14 consonants in a row without a vowel. In English, we can only have 3. Creating new words. Language is constantly changing, so we are constantly creating new words. New forms must normally satisfy phonological systems of the language. An example of this is, in French, they adopted the English word business. However, when they say business in French, they're going to say it according to the phonological system of French, not English. So business becomes business. The meaning of the new word must be useful to speakers. That's another key concept to remember when we're talking about new words. And it's unusual to be a totally new lexeme. Etymology. Etymology and lexicon. Etymology is the study of origin of words. Written data is the best way to monitor language evolution. However, it can be difficult with some languages who do not have a written language. Written language is also more conservative than spoken language. There are many adaptations and changes to spoken language, whereas written language usually lags in the change. Spoken language evolves before written language. Clipping. Clipping does not change the part of speech or the meaning of the word. Rather, it's just a shortening of an existing word. For example, the word pub is actually a clipping of public house. Fan, like a fan of baseball, is a clipping of the word fanatic. An hypocorism. It's a clip of the first syllable, and then you add a suffix, such as the television, we clip a vision, and we add a suffix e, so it becomes telly. Michael clipped to Mike and added an e, Mikey. Robert clipped the ert and add the suffix e. Robert becomes Robbie. Backformation. This is the shorter words are created from longer words. Creating a new lexeme by removing the actual or supposed affixes. This may change the part of speech or word's meaning, unlike clipping. So television becoming televise. So here we see that the noun is becoming a verb. Surveillance, survey. Shoplifter, shoplift. Kidnapper, kidnap. Acronyming. Words formed from the first letter of a string of words. However, word acronyms are pronounced as a single word. So RAM and NASA. We don't say RAM or NASA. They're pronounced as a single word. A spelling acronym is pronounced as a sequence of names of letters, such as the word OK. This was borrowed into many languages, so you could find OK in more than just the English language, and this word was coined in 1839. And it comes from all correct. Blending. This is the combination of parts of two separate words to form a single word. So for example, motor plus hotel blends into motel. Smoke fog blends to smog. Binary and digit blends into bit. Spanish and English blends to Spanglish, etc. Borrowing. Borrowing is incorporating into a language words from another language. This is the most common source of new words in a language. Loan words are adapted to phonological patterns of the new language. So for example, in French, cul-de-sac, when English borrowed that word, when we say it in English, it has to adapt to the phonological patterns of English. So we say cul-de-sac. Over 70% of vocabulary has been borrowed into English since 50 AD. Here are some examples of Danish words that were borrowed between 900 and 1000 AD. Sky, sister, egg, both, and thing. Here are some examples of Latin and Greek words that were borrowed between 900 and 1500 AD. Solar, gravity, telescope, history, and legal. We also have some borrowed words from Native American languages, such as Michigan or the state of Texas, tomato, tobacco, moose, skunk, and caribou. Coinage. This is a novel word, and it is invented entirely. In American English, we have the words nerd and barf. These are examples of coinage. Also, brand names are examples of coinage. Kodak, Xerox, Kleenex. Those are novel words that were invented entirely. Phonesthesia. These are certain phones or sounds associated with certain meanings. So for example, the I represents or is associated with smallness and closeness. For example, ding. Ah and oo are examples of large and far. Dong. So ding, dong, ding, dong. The L is often associated with liquid, fluid, and uncontrolled movements. Gul is often associated with brightness. Some examples of this are glisten, gleam, and glitter. Sl is associated with uncontrolled movements. Slip, slide, slither. Derivation. This is forming new words by use of derivational morphemes. So granular, granule, granulation. Deteriorate, deterioration. Condensable, condensate, condensation. Gross, engrossment. So in the example, gross as a free lexical morpheme, by adding n, the derivational morpheme n in front of gross, it forms a new word. Also, engrossment, by adding the ment after engross as a derivational morpheme, it makes it a noun. Compounding. This is another way of forming new words. Two separate words are joined together to form a new single word with a new meaning. Loan word is an example, as well as butterfly. In Lao, nam pa is fish sauce. It means fish sauce, which is also a compound word. Reduplication. This is forming new words by creating existing words. This is very common in Oceanic languages. Nouns formed from verbs. Broom, in Saliba, a language of Papua New Guinea, is kuya. So when you repeat kuya kuya twice, it means the verb. Reduplication can also represent numerosity or intensity. So for example, the same language, Saliba, the language of Papua New Guinea, if you want to say many girls, you would say manga manga. By repeating the word girl twice as reduplication, it makes it higher in number. Very delicious. In Laos, the language of Laos, sap, sap. Sap means delicious, but if you repeat it twice, it intensifies the word delicious, making it more delicious or very delicious. Meaning extension. This is extending the meaning of existing words. So broadening a word to embrace new meanings. So for example, policeman in Pama Nungan language, Durga is the word for policeman. However, they also use the word junga, which means an octopus as in 8 arms of the law. So junga, known as octopus, has a broadened meaning or an extended meaning to refer to a policeman. Meaning narrowing, the opposite of meaning extension. So the word's meaning becomes restricted. For example, doctor. It could represent a person with a doctorate degree, or it could represent a medical doctor. So the meaning doctor can become ambiguous and restricted. In the 17th century, meat meant food, and flesh meant meat. Idioms are really common when talking about lexicon. All languages have idioms. The meanings of idioms are not predictable from component words. We have fixed expressions such as kick the bucket, which means to die, or to give someone a piece of your mind, or hold your horses. Here's an example of a Vietnamese idiom. Literally, it means I sick intestines. However, the idiom means that I'm broken-hearted. Collocations. Collocations are fixed expressions that have meaning fully predictable from the component words, unlike idioms, where you cannot predict the meaning from the component words. We have binomials as collocations. Some examples of binomials in English are salt and pepper, pen and paper, up and down. Binomials have to be said in this order. You can't flip them. So you can't say pepper and salt or paper and pen. It sounds more natural to actually say salt and pepper and pen and paper first. That's why this is considered a binomial. This is why it's a collocation. Words are sometimes fussy about the company they keep. So for example, this is a good way of thinking of collocations. Coffee collocates with these words: strong, weak, sweet, and hot. So you could say strong coffee, weak coffee, sweet coffee, hot coffee. However, coffee does not collocate with the words heavy, hard, and cloying. So you don't say, oh, this is heavy coffee, or hard coffee, or cloying coffee. So words that go well together are considered collocations. Knowledge of collocations is crucial in their usage. It's not predictable. Why is it strong coffee and not hard coffee? Why hard liquor but not soft liquor? The article the collocates more with radio than TV. You could say on the radio, but you can't say on radio. However, you could say on TV, but it sounds less natural to say on the TV. Then you have examples of idiomatic collocations, such as spick and span. Word taboos are also interesting to consider when talking about lexicon. Taboo is a borrowed word, tabu, from Tongan, which is an Austronesian language. Taboo means in this language an action or thing prohibited by social or religious convention. Words are not neutral. Words have emotional overtones. Consider the words policeman, cop, Bobby, fuzz, the filth, John, pig. They all convey attitudes. Words have some strong affective values. Consider the word shit. It makes you feel a certain way. Also, words related to sex, genitals, and other bodily functions are also considered taboo in many cultures. God or Christ are taboo to be used outside of religious content. So, the context in which you use these words can also be very important. If you say the word God in a prayer, it's not considered taboo. But if you say God outside of prayer, such as, oh my God, can sometimes be considered taboo depending on your religious views. Words inherited from Anglo-Saxon are taboo, whereas words from Latin are acceptable. Taboo to utter name of a recently dead person it's taboo to utter the name of a recently dead person in some Australian languages. So word taboos are very connected to culture. Euphemisms. Euphemisms are also considered when we talk about taboo. Euphemisms. They're evasive expressions used to avoid direct mention of unpleasant ideas. So consider the word toilet. Instead of toilet, we'll often say bathroom or loo. So bathroom and loo are euphemisms for toilet. Instead of saying die, and to avoid the taboo of the word die, we could use euphemisms such as to pass away or to be in a better place. Prostitute, we could say woman of the street. Dysphemisms. These are euphemistic or neutral terms replaced with hard or direct terms. Toilet, a dysphemism of toilet would be a shithouse. Use of taboo terms. Rubbish, darn, frickin', worthless. So these words are not inherently euphemistic or dysphemistic. It depends on the situational context in many instances. Here's a summary of what we talked about today. What is lexicon? Words and parts of speech. Word evolution and etymology. Word meaning. Idioms. Collocations. Taboos. Euphemisms and dysphemisms, which are all important to consider when discussing lexicon. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.